Yeah, we're waiting for the witness to appear on the screen, but we're ready. And Mr. President, if I may, you'd asked me to give the parties the time left, so I have given each one of the parties their time left, but I'm gonna read it on the record as of right now. Respondent has 5 hours and 41 minutes left of their total time allocation, which was 15 hours and 20 minutes. And claimant has 13 hours and 12 minutes of their total time allocation, which was 17 hours and 20 minutes. This will change, obviously, by the end of the day, but that's where we are right now.
All right, thank you. Are there any other matters we need to address before
Recording in progress.
Are there any other matters we need to address before we begin the examination of the witness?
No, sir.
Hearing none. All right. Good day, sir. Can you hear me?
Sí, buenos días.
Yes, good morning, I can hear you.
All right. Can you tell me what you see on the screen before you? Tell me what you see on the screen before you.
Veo tres personas.
I see 3 individuals.
Okay. What you see is the arbitration panel. I am the one in the middle. And I need to describe for you a bit of the procedure we will follow. All right, you should have in the room with you a document with a form of oath or affirmation. Do you have that?
Sí,
I do, sir. Yes, I do see it.
Could you read those words, sir?
declaro
I solemnly declare upon my honor and conscience that I shall speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
All right, thank you for that. Now, the procedure that will be followed is that you will first be asked some questions by the counsel for the respondent. You will then be cross-examined by counsel, the lawyers, for the other party. Do you understand the procedure, sir?
Yes, I do.
All right. If at any point you feel that you must take a break, let us know and we will accommodate. Sir.
Yes.
Right, then let us proceed to counsel to introduce you and your statements.
Thank you, Mr. President. Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Roman Retuerto. My name is Patricio Grané Labat. I will be asking you some very brief introductory questions. The first question, Mr. Roman Retuerto, do you have on the table a copy of your witness statement in this arbitration dated January 12th, 2023? Yes, I do have it. Do you recognize, Mr. Roman Retuerto, the contents of this statement, and do you ratify the statement? Yes, I do. Do you want to make any correction to that witness statement? No, none. As we do not have much time, Mr. Roman Retuerto, I will ask you a question, and please try to be as straightforward as possible. The question is simply whether you could describe in a summarily fashion what your position entailed as well as your responsibilities as sub-prefect. When we have that position, we have the duty to report all of the events to the central government, depending on the office that this is related to. So that is depending on the ministry it is. So it is our obligation to report the good and the bad that happens within the district perimeter. Thank you very much, Mr. Roman Retuerto.
It's not direct.
Good morning, Mr. Retuerto. Can you hear me okay? Yes. My name is Luis Miguel Velarde. I am one of the attorneys for Lupaka, claimant in this case. I wanted... Do you, for example, have any criminal records, any pending complaint that could have impacted on the decision to grant you a visa? No, I don't have any. Have you been the criminal subject of a claim in the past? No, never. I have never been. Didn't you ever have a complaint in connection with the invasions within the project in the second half of 2018? No. Weren't you ever contacted by the police forces in connection with an investigation that could link you with those invasions? Never. Very well. Over the next couple of hours, I am going to be asking you some questions in connection with your witness statement and some other documents that are in the case file. We are going to talk in Spanish, as you may have realized, but there will be interpretation into English at the same time, in addition to a transcript, that is, everything is being written. So we will have to be properly coordinated not to be speaking at the same time. And also, for this to work, I am going to ask you to follow some basic rules. I will be asking you some very specific questions, and I ask you to give me specific answers. And I am going to ask you to start by answering yes or no, and then, of course, you can elaborate something that is pertinent to the question. And the second comment, the second rule I am proposing for you to follow is that, since my colleagues have already mentioned, the time we have is limited. Counsel for Peru, with whom I understand you have been in contact, will have the opportunity to ask you questions as a follow-up to what I will be asking you. So if you would like to make any comment about a specific point, you will be able to do so. Do you agree? Yes. I understand that to prepare the witness statement, you read the relevant question by my colleagues. You were asked to refer to your position as district sub-prefect for the Leoncio Prado district. You are also the representative of the Ministry of the Interior, correct? Yes, in that position. I thank you for that. So that is from March 2017 to 2021. So March 21st, 2017 to, I believe it is March 2022 rather. You have been the representative of the Ministry of the Interior for Leoncio Prado, correct? Yes. You are a public official, correct? Yes, I am. And as part of your job as sub-prefect, district sub-prefect, as you just mentioned, one of your roles is to be a point of communication for the communities within your district and the government authorities, correct? Yes. And as part of your work, you also have to report to the government any situation related to social conflicts within your jurisdiction, that is to say, in Leoncio Prado, correct?
Yes. And I understand, of course, that the information that you pass on to the government must be true and accurate. Is that right? Yes, it is. And similarly, the statements that you make to the press in discharging your functions likewise must be true and accurate. Is that right? Yes. The statements that you make to the press reach the communities in the area of your jurisdiction. Is that right? Yes. Paran, Santo Domingo, and Laxanga, right? Yes. At paragraph 11 of your statement, and we're going to show it up on the screen, even though I understand you have it, you refer to the letters that you sent in January and May of 2018 to various Peruvian authorities related to the Invicta project. Do you recall that? Yes. And then at paragraph 13 of your statement, you say that in those letters you expressed your concern because of the lack of a rapprochement and collaboration between Invicta and the Paran community. This is at paragraph 13, and you sought for the authorities to intervene to foster a dialogue. Do you recall that? Of course, I do. Now, in those letters, you not only stated concern about the lack of a rapprochement with Invicta, between Invicta and Paran, you also make statements about possible environmental contamination and exploitation of the mine by Invicta, correct? Yes? And I propose that we take a look at those letters, and I propose that we begin with the letter that is in Exhibit R76, and that is the letter that you sent to the President of the Council of Ministers. This is up on the big screen, or you'll see it in a moment on your screen.
Our volume here or not?
No, Mr. President, we will be conducting the examination with documents being shown in the screen, if that's okay. Señor Retuerto,
Mr. Retuerto, the President of the Council of Ministers, in order of hierarchy, let's say, is, I would say, one of the main, if not the main, public institution of Peru, right? Yes. In this letter of January 4th, 2018, you told the President of the Council of Ministers and this is about halfway through the first paragraph, you tell her that there is information that at any moment the company, I think you're referring to Invicta, correct me if I'm wrong, there's information that at any time the company will begin the exploitation that was anticipated to begin in the last months of last year, according to information provided by the company itself on social networks. Do you see that part of your letter? Yes, I do see it. If you could blow it up a little bit more, it'd be easier to see, of course. Now, you did not attach to that letter evidence of what Invicta had said on social networks, as you say, that at any time exploitation of the project may begin, right? Yes, that's right. Nor did you attach to that letter any evidence of the assertion that the exploitation was set to begin in the last months of the previous year, 2017, as I understand it, right? Yes? In this letter, you also mentioned the risk of contamination of the water of the Paran community, correct? Yes. And you say, and I'm going to read this, and I'm now in the second part of the letter. The paragraphs sort of run together, but you'll see the second one begins with the words, in the case of exploitation. And if you go a bit further down, it says that the community of Paran will suffer the greatest negative, 100% negative environmental impact. And I inform you that in that community, the community of Paran, as I understand it, there are no rivers or streams. The waters are springs that are used for agriculture and human consumption. Do you see that? Yes. This letter is dated January 4th, 2018. You visited the site of the Invicta project with the members of the governing committee of Santo Domingo 2 months after having sent this letter, specifically on 13 March 2018. Do you recall that visit? Yes. I'm going to show you the report that was prepared following up on that visit, and that is in Exhibit C451. So if we look at page 6 of the PDF in Spanish, if we could go to page 6 there, you see the title of the report. It's called Visit of the Leadership of the Community of Santo Domingo and the Sub-Prefect of Leoncio Prado to the Invicta Project. Do you see that? Yes. So if we go down a bit, just to refresh your memory, let's turn to page 8, please. And there we begin to see some photographs. If you could scroll down a bit further, please. There. You don't see it so clearly, but you're the one seated to the back, at the back to the right with the cap. With the cap? No. Not with the cap? Well, let's go on to the next one. And when I say cap, I'm referring to a hat. No, I have the briefcase, but the previous one is where you say it's me as the person who's in this photo wearing the helmet. So in this photo, there, yes, I'm there. You're the one with the briefcase and the cap that has something written on it up above, on top of it, right? Yes. If we turn to the next photo, is that you? Of course it is, yes. But the one who is, the one who's writing. Yes, the one who's writing. And if we go on to the next photo, do you appear in this photo? Yes? Very well. So let's go back to the beginning of the document. And on that first page, if we could scroll down in both the Spanish and English language versions, let's focus on the last paragraph of the first page. And I'm going to read that last paragraph. It says, following the clarification, their questions were answered. It's a reference to the questions asked by the participants at that session. And it says, in the case of the works being carried out on the project, they were informed that the project is in the implementation stage as well as improvement of the camp, accesses, and road leading to the project. They were taken on a tour of the camp facilities and shown the improvement work being carried out. Now, in just a moment, I'd like to focus on that part. Would you agree with me that Invicta, the Invicta personnel during this visit to the project site informed you and the other participants that the project was still in the preparation and development phase, correct? Yes? Invicta did not tell you in that visit that at any time exploitation of the project would begin, right? Of course they didn't say that, but they did inform us that since the phenomenon of El Nino had happened 1 year earlier, they were repairing everything that had been carried out by the disasters. So they told us we're repairing roads and everything. They didn't tell you that the Invicta project would begin exploitation at any time, correct? That wasn't addressed. I don't know why. What was addressed as between Invicta and the communities, well, the purpose was to figure out how to get along better with the communities in the direct area of influence. My question is very specific, Mr. Retuerto. During that visit, did the Invicta personnel tell you, they did not tell you that, that is to say, that the project would begin exploitation at any moment? No, no. Don't you think it's reasonable, having sent a letter to the President of the Council of Ministers on January 4th, which, as we agreed upon a moment ago, is probably the principal or the highest-ranking government authority in Peru, having informed them on January 4th, that the Invicta project would begin exploitation at any time, didn't you think it reasonable to send a new communication rectifying the previous one? No, because the reasonable thing was that the publication had already happened, and there was no approach to the community of Paran. At the meeting, they told the community and us there is no rapprochement, and the communication was there, so why would I have to say I rectify what I have said? Because there was information. They knew that, and I couldn't, and the concern was there was no rapprochement with the community, there was no dialogue, there was nothing. So it was expected, it was a difficult moment that at the end of the day had to happen. In your answer, you speak of dialogue and a series of other things. I asked you, because you told the President of the Council of Ministers of Peru that the project would begin exploitation at any time. So if we set aside for a moment whether or not there was dialogue, my question to you is, did you tell the President of the Council of Ministers that at any time exploitation would begin? We've seen that this letter is dated January 4th of 2018. Did you participate, or you did participate with a visit with the Invicta team 2 months later, 13 March 2018, where Invicta told you, and you just confirmed this, that repair work was underway as well as improvement of the roads and general preparation of the mine. So my question is, didn't you think it was necessary to send a communication to the President of the Council of Ministers rectifying your prior assertion that at any time exploitation would begin? They never informed me that it was in preparation. I mentioned that they were repairing the harm caused by El Niño. And not preparing the camp, but repairing the damage. That's what they informed us of. Mr. Retuerto, in the excerpt that you have up on the screen, the paragraph that you see on the screen, it says, in the case of the work being done on the project, they were informed that the project is the implementation and improvement of the camp phase, as well as improving accesses and road leading to the project. No mention is made of the El Niño phenomenon. That's what they said there when they said, we are repairing the harm that has been caused by El Niño. We are repairing that. As we saw earlier, one of your functions is to provide exact and true information to the government, correct? Of course. And even so, you did not rectify your communication for January 2018, right? Because I'm reporting, legally it was my obligation to inform, and I was reporting the concern that there was not a coexistence. If there was not a coexistence with the community, then how was it that subsequently there would be exploitation without having an agreement with the neighboring community of Paran, where it's being said that there's going to be 0% environmental impact? That's the concern. I informed that I reported to the presidency. That's the concern about which I informed her. Mr. Retuerto, not only did you fail to rectify your communication of 4 January 2018, but a few months later, you publicly stated in an interview that Invicta had already begun exploitation of the mine. Is that not so? Yes, because I saw that they were extracting ore. They extracted ore. That's what I've said. And extracting ore, well, I'm not the right person, but they're saying that they are extracting material from the subsoil and then accumulating it outside. Let's turn to Exhibit C 527 to see the interview that you gave the press on this specific issue.
Si vamos a la
Now, if we can look at the Spanish language version,
The exhibit number that it is?
Yes, this is C527.
the title of the document says, transcript of the video interview with sub-prefect of Leoncio Prado, Mr. Soyman Roman Retuerto, Mininter, 21 December 2018. Do you see it? Do you see the title? No, if you could blow it up a bit, please. Now can you see it? Yes. Do you remember, or first, let me ask you, the newspaper Diario Ecos, is that a major means of communication in the district that you direct? It is from the locality of Huacho, not from the district. So it's a major media outlet in the locality of Huacho, correct? Yes. If we scroll down a bit to where it says minute 110, I'm going to read it, then you can tell me if you have any doubt. We can discuss it. The journalist from Diario Ecos says, Lupaka is the new one. With that name, it is working now. And you say, of course, with that name. But no, they say not Invicta, but they don't want to take on the liabilities. And then the journalist asks, are they exploring or are they not exploring? And you answer, no, that's a lie. They are exploiting. And the journalist says, are they already exploiting? And your answer is, of course. Now, let's going to see what you say in this paragraph, but your answer there is, of course. That's the testimony you gave during that interview, is that right? Yes. So you elaborated on your response, and you said that as sub-prefect, I joined last year the Invicta project in March. And now we'll continue. You say in March. Now here, are you referring to March of 2018 or March of 2017? And I ask because the interview is from 21 December 2018. 2018. So here you're referring to the visit to the project site, the Invicta project site that you made with the governing committee of the community of Santo Domingo on 13 March 2018, the one we were mentioned just a few moments ago, right? Yes. where Invicta informed you that the project was in the implementation and phase of also improving the camp access and the road. Is that right? Yes, it is. Now, if we go further in this transcript, you mention, and I'm talking about that same paragraph, you say that immediately after this visit, you asked for a report from the OEFA because the OEFA conducts an inspection every year. And you say that for that, they, I understand this to be the OEFA, had already made that visit. Do you see that? Yes. Here I understand that you're referring to the inspection that was carried out by the OEFA in late February 2018, correct? Yes. I propose that we take a look at the resolution that was issued by the OEFA on that inspection, and it's at Exhibit R61. And let's turn to page 17 of the PDF in Spanish. That's the first page in Spanish. It's there, so if we could blow it up a bit. Thank you, and then if we could go down a bit. If we see the subject line, it says, result of the regular environmental supervision carried out from 27 February to March 4th, 2018 of the Invicta facility subject to oversight owned by the Invicta Mining Corp. Do you see that? No, no. If you could blow it up, please. We could blow up where it says matter or subject. Now do you see it? Yes. So that is the report that was issued as the result of the regular environmental supervision carried out on 27 February to 4 March 2018 of the Invicta Mining Unit. Correct? Yes. So if we can scroll down a bit on the same page, we see that there's a table that refers to the inspectable unit, which is Invicta. And then it says stage on the fourth line, and the stage is given as construction. And then status, it says active. Do you see that? Yes. And the third one is also saying exploitation. Yes, that's the activity that the mining company Invicta is devoted to. But it's talking about the activity when they went in, they saw what activity, activity and function. Or maybe I'm making a mistake on this. I'm not perhaps the trained person, but it says activity, function, and then it says exploitation. So if I go and inspect, I find out what activity. The activity is exploitation. That's what they're reporting. So let's take a minute to look at this resolution, and then I'll take you to a paragraph that might clarify the situation a bit. And let us go to paragraph 17, please, which is at page 22 of the PDF in Spanish. I'm sorry, it's page 6. Paragraph 17, towards the end. It's page 1 in the English language version. Page 6, if you could go to page 6 of the document in English. Now, if you'd like, if you could go down further, we're almost at that paragraph.
Vamos al documento en español, al párrafo.
Let us look at paragraph 17 in Spanish, and we're going to read it, and then the interpreters will interpret it. Again, this paragraph, OEFA, says that in this context, it should be taken into account that through Directorial Resolution number 375/2012, the mining holder was authorized to extend the start date of the Invicta project, dated 11 December 2014, and this is Directorial Resolution 566/2014 of 11 December 2014. The date before was the maximum date of 28 December 2014. The interpreter corrects himself. And Invicta Mining has now communicated the Ministry of Energy and Mines the start of the extra exploitation of activities. Therefore, the commitments assumed are applicable to it for the development and preparation stage of the Invicta project. Do you see that paragraph, sir? Yes, I do. So this report of OEFA confirms what the Invicta team let you know on that date, right, which is 13 March 2018, when they went and visited the project, right? Well, what I'm talking about is the report, and then after that, these matters have to do with the ministry, OEFA, and the company. I'm talking about what the OEFA personnel said. They talked about exploitation activities. That's all. Mr. Retuerto, when you read the paragraph that I just showed you, and in particular the last two lines that say that Invicta's commitments are enforceable in connection with the preparation and development stage of Invicta, you agree with me that OEFA considers that Invicta, the project, is not at the stage of exploitation, right? Well, that has to do with what the competent authorities think. That's all I can say. I cannot say what should be or what shouldn't be. What I did through this document is I passed on my concern on the basis of what I found. You'd agree with me, Mr. Eduardo, that informing the population that Invicta has already started exploitation activities when that is not the case, as you were told by Invicta, and as was confirmed to you by OEFA, this could worsen the social conflict between Invicta and Paran, right? Well, there were no negotiations with the Paran communities. Those were non-existent. And that is what has brought about this conflict. Let us go back to the letter that you sent to the President of the Council of Ministers on 4 January, R76.
Gracias. La página 2.
We're going to look at this right here, this page that's on the screen, and you say, halfway through the letter, could you please highlight it and please make it bigger? Yes, of course. Please look at where it says, in the case of exploitation. Please highlight that. Do you see that? It says here, in the case of exploitation that is extremely sensitive, and the interesting part here for me is that the company's representatives are not in dialogue with the Peruvian community. Do you see that? Yes, I do. Did you know, sir, that on 10 December 2016, there was an assembly in Paran, that is to say, about a year before the letter that you sent to the Council of Ministers. There, Invicta, at that assembly, submitted to Paran a detailed agreement proposal. I did not know that. Did you know that at that same assembly, 90% of the community members of Paran approved the proposal submitted to them by Invicta? No. I did not have knowledge of that. Did you know that in January 2017, the new Board of Paran asked Invicta to pay to it 300,000 soles, about $88,000, as a condition to continue negotiating the agreement? No. Did you know that in December 2017, that is to say, the month before the month you sent the letter to the President of the Council of Ministers, Invicta paid to Paran a portion of that amount, 300,000 soles? No. Did you know that in... Excuse me. What is the date that you said that the payment was made? What was the date? Did you know that on 18 December 2017, that is to say, the month before you sent a letter, which you sent in January 2018, Invicta paid Paran 100,000 soles? I did not know that. Did you know that on 31st January 2018, that is to say, the same month in which you sent your letter to the President of the Council of Ministers, Invicta paid Paran 200,000 soles? No. You would agree with me that the proposal made by Invicta to Paran in December 2016, that was approved by most of the Paran community, and the payments made by Invicta to Paran that I just mentioned show that the company was interested in engaging in dialogue and reaching an agreement with Paran. No. Paran went to the mining community and said, you still owing money to us and you are not paying this account. This account has been here for years. When they talked about going through our territory with the road, they gave something, but then they are trying to trick us for many, many years. And then the mining companies that said, we're going to pay everything to you for about in 15 days. I don't know. I have had no communication as to when payment was made or how it was made. I don't know. I don't have information about what you're saying. But I have known that the community of Paran has been, tricked for all its life. You did not know that Invicta paid Paran 300,000 soles between December 2017 and January 2018, correct? Neither the company nor the community gave me that information. Let us go to the letter that you sent on 8 May 2018, R81.
'81.
Let's scroll down to look at the signature page. That's your signature, Mr. Retorto, right? Yes, that's right. Let's go back to the beginning of the letter. You sent this letter to the Ombudsman's office. Yes. Mr. Walter Francisco Gutierrez on 8 May 2018, right? Yes. If we look at the second paragraph of this letter, it says here that the community, or rather that by means of this document, you inform that on May 7 of this year, some water sources were inspected of the Paran rural community in the jurisdiction of the Leoncio Prado district. This was done because a complaint from the community authorities to the local water community of Huacho, and the inspection was carried out in several sources of water or bodies of water, and in the Quebrada de Yanapaxa Fraile, and that these were contaminated waters that are born from the head of the mine. Do you see that? Yes. That inspection was conducted in the presence of the local water authority. Yes, it says that they were there. The local water authority was addressing a complaint by the community of Paran. So the water authority went to the Paran community, and that is where this transpired. And I participated in this. Let's look at the fourth paragraph of this letter. You say here, on the fourth line, and the most sensitive thing of all is that the direct influence communities to date do not have the Environmental Monitoring Committee. And then further down, you say the company is not abiding by the transparency law. Do you see that? Yes. Did you know that as of the date of your letter, on 8 May 2018, the community of Langsanga already had an environmental monitoring committee? No, I did not know about that. That has to do with a different office, not with our office. Of Leoncio Prado. In your letter, you say that the direct influence communities, and you said communities in the plural, do not have that committee, right? Yes, of course, because it's two direct influence. It's two communities, Santo Domingo and Paran. That's why I use the plural, not the singular. Did you know that Invicta proposed to Paran in February 2018, rather March 28, and also in March 2018, April 2018, and May 2018, to create an environmental monitoring committee, but Paran rejected this proposal? No, I didn't know that. Can you show me a document showing that the company invited Paran to this?
Get a translation. You just kept going as if it said nothing.
Sorry, Mr. Griffith, I was just telling the witness that I will take him to the document he
But we
requested.
didn't get the translation of what he said.
Sorry, I spoke too fast.
Yeah, if we could slow down a little bit, because you're having a dialogue in Spanish, but we need a little time for the interpretation to come through.
Sure.
If we please go to C111. What I'm going to show you, sir, is a report prepared by the community relations team of Invicta that provides a historical account of the period going from 2016 to 2018 in connection with the actions taken by the team vis-a-vis the communities. If we scroll down to almost the end of this document, I think it's we have to go down 2 pages. And the second to last paragraph, Let's blow this up a little bit. It says, in the months of February, March, April, and May 2018, the Peruvian community was visited, and we met repeatedly with the governing committee to propose the formation of our environmental monitoring committee and work on social responsibility issues under the EIA of Invictus Mine. The community began to issue notarized eviction letters arguing that they are using their lands without any agreement with the community and polluting their lands. That is what I was making reference to a moment ago, sir. Do you see it? I do see it. What companies, what documents did the company give? Yes, they said that they invited the community to Panan. Where are the documents? Do you have any reason to doubt the veracity of this document, if this document was prepared contemporaneously? No, I don't. Let us go back to this issue of the potential pollution that you mentioned in your letter of 8 May 2018. 2 months after, on 4 July 2018, the local water authority conducted a new inspection of the Invicta project precisely in light of this pollution concern that you mentioned, right? Excuse me, what was that? I was saying that on 4 July 2018, the local water authority, ALA, conducted a new inspection of the Invicta project precisely in light of this concern of potential contamination or pollution. You remember that? No, I wasn't present there and I wasn't told about this either. In your witness statement, at paragraph 17, that we can show on the screen, and also at footnote 11, you make reference to the technical report that was issued by the local water authority, precisely following up on this inspection that I just mentioned to you. Did you not review that document? Where in my statement? If we go to footnote number 11, we can blow that up.
May I suggest that the witness be shown the document that is being cited, and perhaps that will refresh his memory?
Am I correct? We are referring to his own statement. Is that correct?
Yes.
He does have his statement available to him?
He does, Mr. President, but not the annexes.
I see.
Y precisamente
Let us look at C408.
This document is dated 13 July 2018.
Let's scroll down. Thank you. At 5.1, we see a reference to the inspection made by. Can I have some time to read it, please? And can you blow it up because I can't see it? We can try to perhaps blow it up a little bit more. Please. Can you try to move it a little bit? There's a photograph that does not allow me to see it. Okay, that's better. You will see that at 5.1 reference is made to this inspection, or supervision it's called here. And at 5.2, reference is made to this inspection that took place. The word used in Spanish is diligencia. And it says, at the time of the inspection, it was observed that in the mine at level 3430 at the Atenea vein, there were no workings and there was no evidence of wastewater discharges from the interior of the mine due to the negative slope of the mine. They were the waters coming from level 3400 of the mine. Do you see that? Yes. At 6.3, where it says recommendations, it says, in light of the fact that in the inspections conducted in the Invicta project of the mine title holder, Invicta Mining Corp, no evidence has been found of a direct impairment of the water resources of the Paran rural community and surrounding areas. And then this paragraph goes on. You can read the rest of it if you want. You'd agree with me, Mr. Retuerto, that during this inspection, the local water authorities, ALA, confirmed that there were no effluents from the Invicta mine that affect adversely the water sources of Paran. Well, I'm saying potential. I'm not stating anything. You say that I'm asserting something. I'm not asserting anything. The authorities need to investigate. Perhaps they can use a laboratory to analyze the water. But I'm not asserting that the water is polluted. It's just a concern that I am expressing, and I have relayed that information. That's it. Yes, Mr. Retuerto, but you sent a letter in May 2018 speaking about a potential contamination. Well, it's potential. It's potential, sir. Excuse me. If I see that there is a change in color, if the ALA personnel themselves, they're saying that there is a change in color and they have taken this to the lab to look at this, and as a result of the lab tests, they're providing a result, that's one thing. But I'm saying potential. I'm not asserting anything. And the same thing happened at the community. There was a change in color. So the community asked for the participation of the ALA to go see that. Nobody is asserting that there was pollution here. These are results that came out of the ALA. Possibly the ALA got test results, whether this happened or it didn't happen. I'm not the right person. Well, you said, do you agree or you don't agree, you asked. Well, I'm not asserting anything. I'm talking about potential. There was a change in color. So this is a concern that we wanted to pass on to the authorities. And that's part of their role, right? They are political authorities. So the government has to be provided with information that is accurate and also truthful, right? Right, Mr. Retuerto? As I said, I am informing of a potential situation. I'm not asserting anything. These are results that came later on, ALA and their laboratory. They are reports by them. At the beginning, they could have said yes or no, but what they're doing here is providing information about the results. I passed on my concern that there was a potentiality there. The rest, well, that's the work of the authorities that are the specialists in that matter. After the letter that you sent to the Ombudsman on 8 May 2018, speaking about a potential contamination, did you not send another communication clarifying that after the ALA inspection of July 2018, a confirmation was given that no pollution existed, right?
I didn't do it. Why? Because at the same time, I'm asking for a dialogue. As part of the dialogue table, all of the information could be shared. At the same time, in the document, I have two concerns. One, about what is going on, but another concern is that I want the dialogue table to be put together so that we can clear all of the conflicts. There will be new conflicts, so the community is unaware of the fact that there is contamination or not, but I am again asking for this dialogue table to be set up, and then they will be able to inform to all of the participants, the community, the company, that there is no pollution, but the most Solomonic solution is to have a dialogue. Mr. Retuerto, I am going to ask you to answer my questions. After the letter of May 4th, 2018, didn't you send a letter saying that there was a confirmation in follow-up to the inspection by Anna that there was no pollution? No. As I mentioned before, we needed to have the dialogue. As I told you already, there was a conflict that led to a conflict, and the dialogue table had to be set up. And Mr. Retuerto, Mr. Roman Retuerto, what is it that led to the conflict? Was it the pollution, the alleged pollution, or what is it? Clearly, the alleged pollution, it was coming from the same Paran community. So before I sent the document, the community itself, because there was a change in the color of the water, they saw that and they asked for ANA's intervention to go and check what was going on. And that concern, once identified, I also report on that, and I also ask to have a dialogue table to avoid the conflict. And they saw that problem. There was no dialogue table, and then the conflict was imminent, and we had the conflict.
For a break sometime in the next 5 minutes or so. So can you look for an appropriate point and let us know when you would like to take that break? Sometime soon, starting with now.
As you wish, Mr. President. I would say less than 5 minutes.
Why don't we do that then?
Thank you.
Mr. Retuerto, in your statement at paragraph 16, referred to the potential pollution or contamination of the Paran waters from the Invicta mine effluents. Do you see that? 16. Yes. This is dated May 2018. Didn't you think it was important for the tribunal to know that ALA carried out an inspection less than 3 months after, when they concluded that there was no contamination? But I think I told you already that that was within the purview of what I was demanding. So the idea was the dialogue table. The dialogue table is the one that was going to address that, because the next month there was another conflict. There was going to be another conflict. What were they going to do then? I'm asking you about your statement in this arbitration. At paragraph 16, you're saying that in May 2018, you communicated about a potential contamination. So I'm asking you whether in this same statement that you are preparing or presented for this arbitration, you didn't think it was important, referring to contamination, to tell the tribunal that less than 3 months after, it was confirmed that there was no contamination. I am not stating, I am not confirming, I am not telling you that there is contamination. I'm saying potential. I would have corrected myself if I said, okay, there is contamination, now the result is negative, I am going to rectify or apologize. But I'm not confirming anything. I'm telling you about a potential contamination. So I'm not saying. And I also report to the superiors, for the agencies, for the authorities to do their work, to do something about it, because I am the sub-prefect. I am not going to order to have a laboratory sent. Please send me the results. I need them right now. This is not my area. This is not my jurisdiction. My duty is just to communicate the concern.
Knew about that report 3 months afterwards. Did he know about it or not?
¿Estaba usted al tanto?
Did you know, Mr. Retuerto, of the inspection by ALA in June 2018 and also the results? No. It was July 2018. The answer is no. We are now going to look at C527.
This meeting won't take very long.
This is the last document I will show.
Thank you.
Mr. Retuerto, this is the same interview that we just saw a couple of minutes ago with the Ecos newspaper in December 2018. If we look halfway down, where it says what the community members have been asking for, that is to say halfway down, let me read this to you because I know that the size of the font is quite small. Yes. The journalist is asking you, what is it that the community members have been asking for? And you answer, the community members write that Invicta is at the top of the community, of its territory, of its population, of its agriculture, where the mining company's camp is and also where the adit is located. And the journalist asks you on December 21st, 2018, and is this producing any contamination? And you answered, of course it is. Do you see it? I do. Would you agree with me that stating publicly that there is contamination when that is not the case, as we just saw, is something contrary to your right, to your duty to offer truthful information to the government and complete information? Well, it is a point of view that had to happen because legally the concern that the community had was that they were going to get contaminated, polluted. But you would agree with me, after looking at ALA's resolution, that in July 2018 there was a confirmation that there was no contamination. Yes, but technically those are the authorities that said that. But we do not know. When we share our point of view, we are not the trained members from the community. We are just, if we look at a change in water, if we see something that is not fine, we say immediately, gentlemen, you are contaminating. Why did we have this problem? Because they said they are contaminating, and then this is a concern. We saw the changes in the fluids. It is worse not to have information. We didn't have information from the company towards the community to say, you know what, we are monitoring, we have the quarterly results. I don't know how often they did it, whether it was done or not, but they never proved that. They never proved that. They never showed that to us. So you do not know whether this was done or not, but at the same right in your statement, not in your statement, but in the communications that we just saw, you told the government authorities, you stated that Invicta was not carrying out environmental monitoring activities in the communities, correct? Clearly, they were not doing that. That is the truth.
Right, thank you, Counsel. Mr. Ritorto, we will now take a short break of about 10 minutes. During that time, you're free to get up, go have a cup of coffee, but you should not discuss your testimony or the questions that have been asked with anyone. Is that clear?
Yes.
That's agreeable to you, sir.
Sí.
Yes, certainly.
Well, we will resume in 10 minutes then. Thank you.
Mr. President, before we break,
Gracias.
do we want the witness to be sent to waiting room, or do we want him to remain connected? We normally would send them to a breaker room online, but he can also remain connected in silence on the screen.
Well, I don't know what arrangements have been made.
It's either way. I'm asking so that everybody knows what's going to happen.
We're fine with either solution, Mr. President.
All right, everyone is agreeable that he may leave the room, go have a cup of coffee, but should not speak with anyone. All right, we'll see you then in 10 minutes,
Okay, to
please.
the technicians, I'm sorry, Mr. President, to the technicians, maybe you want to send Mr. Roman Retuerto to a Zoom breaker room and bring him back in 10 minutes sharp. Thank you.
All right, anything else? No. All right, we'll see you all in 10 minutes.
Yes, Mr. President, sorry, we were taking care of a technical issue with council. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. We have almost all of the essential requirements. Good. Okay. Parties are ready, secretary, reporters, interpreters.
We are.
Okay, well, let's see if we can bring back the witness.
Peter, can you bring back Mr. Roman Retorto? Thank you.
Recording in progress.
All right, sir, welcome back. You might be amused to know that on the screen next to you that appears before us, there appear to be two large marine mammals looking at us, and I think they are looking friendly, but we're not entirely sure. All right, are you ready to resume, sir? Okay,
Sí.
Yes.
let us resume then.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Hello once again, Mr. Retuerto. The communities in the area under your jurisdiction, sir, are made up of annexes and population centers or towns, correct? Wamboy is an annex or hamlet of the village of Paran, correct? Yes. And it is also part of the district of Leoncio Prado. That is to say, where you are the sub-prefect, correct? Yes. Are you aware of the issue having to do with marijuana crops and the sale of marijuana in your jurisdiction? Of course I am. Wamboy is one of the areas where the growing and sale of marijuana is most widespread. Is that right? No. It might be viewed like that, but I don't have personal knowledge. That may or may not be the case. It's normal or common that this is a practice, but I cannot affirm that. So your testimony is that the Wamboy zone is not one of the areas where the growing and sale of marijuana is widespread. Is that your testimony? No, no. Did you know that?
No, answer to what?
Thank you, Mr. Garibaldi. Le hago
Let me put the question to you once again, Mr. Retuerto. So your testimony is that the Wamboy area, in that area, the growing and marketing of marijuana is not a widespread practice. Is that your testimony? Of course, it's not a widespread practice. Did you know that in the last 8 to 10 years, the police have carried out various operations in Wamboy and in other areas of the community of Paran to seize and set ablaze thousands of marijuana plants or areas where marijuana is grown? No, I did not know that. even though Wamboy is part of your jurisdiction as sub-prefect. Yes. Did you know that in August of 2014, the police discovered and eradicated some 3,000...
You're asserting this. Are you going to establish that, or are you going to give evidence from the bar table?
I'm sorry, Mr. Arbitrator, I cannot hear you in the microphone.
I'll say it again. Counsel, you seem to be giving evidence from the bar table. If you've got a document that establishes that's one thing. For you to say it as a fact to this witness is another. We have no evidence before us as to this.
I was precisely asking the question, and depending on his answer, I was going to show a document.
Shouldn't it be the other way around?
Why don't we proceed to the document?
Yeah. Vamos, por favor.
Let us turn to Exhibit C-104. If we can turn to page 2 there, that's fine. And if we could show it in the English language version as well, please. And there, Mr. Retuerto, it says in the first paragraph that the National Police discovered and eradicated some 3,040 marijuana plants in the Wamboy Alto Population Center in the district of Leoncio Prado. Do you see that? The date? If we could go up to show the date. Can we see the date? 13 August 2014. Are you aware of this operation? No, I don't have personal knowledge of it. I was not the authority, I was not the sub-prefect at the time, and I don't have knowledge of that. As from when are you the sub-prefect of Leoncio Prado? 2017. Which month? March. Very well. Then I propose that we look at a publication from May of 2017. If we could go to Exhibit C-105, please. Here, can you read that, or should we blow it up a little bit more, please? Yes. In this publication from Diario Ecos of 9 May 2017, it is indicated that they seized about 10,000 marijuana seedlings in Wamboy, Leoncio Prado. Are you aware of this? I did not participate in what's here, but I became aware of the publication and I went to see where it was and how it was, and I found out that it was within district Leoncio Prado and the district of Guari, but they said in the publication it was in Leoncio Prado. So I went to the place and I saw that it wasn't in Leoncio Prado. It was right by the boundary, but it was in the district of Iguari. And I immediately contacted the colonel who participated in the incineration. We sought him out. We took out a map, and he said, "I'm sorry, but it had already been published that it was in Leoncio Prado, but it wasn't Leoncio Prado. It was in the jurisdiction of the district of Iguari." But the publication that we're looking at makes reference, of course, yes, there you see the reference, but that's why I went to the colonel, because the information says it's in Leoncio Prado. So I thought it was in Leoncio Prado, or they said they thought it was in Leoncio Prado, but it had already been published. But it became clear it wasn't in the district of Leoncio Prado, it was in the district of Iguari. Just as a matter of order, Mr. Retuerto, let's try to avoid speaking at the same time. Otherwise, the transcript isn't going to reflect what we're saying. And also, all others who are here, who are listening to the interpreted version, aren't going to be able to understand what we're saying. Do you agree with me that the document that you have in front of you makes reference to a seizure of 10,000 marijuana seedlings in Wamboy, Leoncio Prado, correct? That's what it says, but I've already said that in legal terms, being specifically, it's not in the district of Leoncio Prado. They'd already published it. The colonel told me, yeah, they'd published it in those terms. And I affirm that it was not in the district of Leoncio Prado. You can say, well, it was because the publication says so, but it wasn't. It's by the boundary. So it's 5 meters, 10 meters into the district of Iguari. That's what happened there. It's very close by. But they published it as Leoncio Prado because that's what the colonel had said. And he said, that's what I said, but I now rectify what I said before you. Not in the district of Leoncio Prado, but in the district of Iguari. But it was published as if it were in the district of Leoncio Prado. So I understand that you were aware of this operation, correct? I wasn't aware of the operation. I came to learn of it once the operation had already happened. Once it happened, I learned of it once it was already published, but I wasn't aware of the operation. As of the date of your witness statement in this arbitration, which is from 2022, if I'm not mistaken, you were aware of this operation, correct? That I came to learn of it. I came to learn of what had happened. To be aware of it means that one knows that it's happening. I came to learn of the publication. That's different. If we can now turn to Exhibit C-108. We now have what I'm showing you here is a publication from April of 2018, where, as you can see in the Spanish language version, the title indicates 5,000 marijuana plants valued at $1.5 million soles are burned. And just below it says, seizure took place in Yacas, Leoncio Prado district. Do you see that? Yes, I do. The Yacas ravine is part of the community of Paran. Is that right? It is not. It is not part of the community. It's part of the community of Acotama. Very well. Then I'm going to ask if the text could be blown up some in both versions. So I'm going to read, I think the letter's a bit small, maybe we can blow it up a little bit more. And if you could go down. It says, and I'll read it, Mr. Retuerto. It says, the mountainous area in the Huaura province still remains a drug paradise in the Norte Chico region. The PNP intelligence unit, that's the police, and personnel from the Huachuante Drug Department carried out a mega operation and dealt a new and severe blow to drug trafficking, intervening in the Yacas ravine in the rural community of Paran, district of Leoncio Prado. Do you see that? Yes. And so the Yacas ravine is part of the community of Paran, right? No, it is not. If you look at the geographic map, you'll see that it's not in Paran. It's in a place called Yacre. Were you aware of this police operation? I learned of it, but that's not in the district of Leoncio Prado. That zone is not located in the community of Paran. It's located in the community of Acotama. You told us that you were aware of this operation. Did you know that the police was investigating members of the Narvasta family in relation to this seizure and burning of marijuana plants? No, I was not. Since it wasn't within the jurisdiction of Leoncio Prado, I didn't take much interest in it. But it's in the place known as Yacres, and I know that place, and it's not in Leoncio Prado. That's misinformation.
Second, for an administrative comment. Are the parties prepared that we can release Mr. Bravo, or should we continue to hold him for the rest of the afternoon?
For us, so we could certainly release him as far as we're concerned, yes. But it depends a little bit on how long the cross-examination is going to carry on. So if you just give me 10 seconds.
All right. Well, the man is being held in a secluded room at the moment, so it would be nice if we could let him out.
It looks like we're going to be using the rest of the time allotted for this witness.
All right, thank you for that. Then we will tell Mr. Bravo that he is free with the customary admonition not to discuss his testimony with anyone, and that we will see him again tomorrow morning. Is that agreed?
That's agreed. Thank you, Mr.
So
President.
it seems. All right, thank you very much. Sorry for the interruption. Back to your questioning.
Thank you, Mr. President. See.
Yes, if we can go up a bit in the Spanish language to the box. And I will now read Mr. Retuerto. As on other occasions, in this mega operation, there were no detainees either. However, it is being investigated whether these plots belong to the Narvasta clan, a well-known family in the area, whose members have been under investigation for months by De Panidro Huacho. The interpreter did not hear anything discernible. Sorry. The interpreter repeats, I think I heard no, but it was not any complete enunciation.
The transcript is not clear, so counsel, if you have a question, why don't you put the question to the witness and let's see if we can get a clear answer.
Okay. Can we show the documents, please? They're not up on the screen anymore.
Ahora sí.
Counsel, we've got the transcript. Why don't just read out the question?
¿Estaba usted al tanto, señor Retuerto?
Were you aware, Mr. Retuerto, of the fact that the Narvasta family, or the Narvasta clan as described here, was being investigated for marijuana-related issues? No, I've not known of that. The last name Narvasta is a predominant last name in the Wamboy area. Is that not the case? In almost all the communities. Several members of the Narvasta family held leadership positions in the community of Paran. Is that not so? Yes.
Con base
Based on the news articles that we just saw, would you agree with me that the growing and sale of marijuana is a serious problem in Paran? Is that not so? No. Let's turn to Exhibit C529. What I'm going to show you, Mr. Retuerto, is an interview that you gave to the newspaper Diario Ecos, 8 July 2019. Do you see it? Yes. I'm going to read the journalist from Ecos says, down at the lower part of the screen, says, having overcome this situation, they're talking about a different situation, having overcome this situation, what other challenges are still pending? We have seen many marijuana crops in the higher zones as well. And you answer, of course, we are. But we are working on it with the police, in operation with them. It is finishing, and possibly this is going to end. It is not going to go any further. The journalist then says, they even divert water from fields where crops are grown too. And you answer, of course they are. They are using the water from the part. They are hidden areas where you can't verify or see very well. So they're using the water that is meant to irrigate another product and not marijuana. And then they ask, and here I'll end, sure, but when justice comes, there are 10,000 to 20,000 seedlings, and you answer, that's right, it's quite a lot, but we are coordinating with the police. I ask you, having read from the interview that you gave, would you agree with me that the growing and marketing of marijuana is a serious problem in the community of Paran? Is that not so? The thing is that as authorities, we are on top of it. As authority, I've been on top of the fact that it may exist. It may happen, but that doesn't mean that they're cultivating. As authority, we are aware of what's happening. We are coordinating with the police. We have to do this. We have a work plan that we present annually. So I ask the police that we be patrolling and setting dates to find out whether there are or are not, whether they exist or do not exist, or what kind of problems are there in each community. So that is what I say, that I need to be on top of the problem of marijuana, which may exist or may not exist. Nor do I defend, well, there may be one, but I'm not going to involve the whole town, all the people in it. Mr. Retuerto, you just spoke about the actions. My question is, do you agree that this is a serious problem, the problem of marijuana in the community of Paran? Yes or no? It is a matter of concern, and but I'm saying quite clearly that is a concern for one as an authority. It is a concern. That is up to me. And so we work in coordination with the police, because it's with them that we need to have this operation with the police. So we need to be attentive to this. It's known that growing is a crime, and so automatically we need to be aware of what's going on. But I'm not saying that the whole community, as you say, that the whole community is devoted to this crop. No. It is a plant. If it's a plant and they need to irrigate it, they need to irrigate it. And there might be one person who's using it or drawing water to irrigate it, but it is a matter of concern as an authority with the police. We need to be on top of the situation. That is so. If it's a matter of concern, as you say, Mr. Retuerto, did you report this concern about this issue to the government authorities? Of course, with the police, we have been on top of it, and operations have been carried out with the police, and patrols have been carried out in in all the communities of the district of Leoncio Prado. And operations have continued to be carried out. Did you inform the President of the Council of Ministers of this issue, or the Office of Human Rights Ombudsperson, or the other entities to which, did you send them a formal letter? One cannot do so in that respect because it's not constant. Now, they have involved the district of Leoncio Prado, but I have reported that it's a mistake in the publication for them to implicate the district of Leoncio Prado. The territory has not been, if you look in Leoncio Prado and Paran, whether there's a place called Yacre. Now they tell me the last name of Narvasta, that is found in Paran, and in all the communities you find the last name Narvasta. In Santo Domingo, on the other side of Okotama, in Guanambe, in every place one finds the last name Narvasta. So we cannot say that the Narvastas are from Paran and they're the ones who are cultivating. We cannot. It's a slander against those persons to simply make these sweeping generalizations. So to confirm, you did not communicate with the presidency of Council of Ministers, the Office of the Human Rights Ombudsperson, Ministry of Energy and Mines, in your communications about the issue of the growing and marketing of marijuana? Yes or no? I've not done so. Why? Because it is not a concern. It's just that I have had to coordinate with the police in the area because it's up to it's with them that we are to coordinate. So I can't go to just any ministry and say, come and do something, because that there would be no principle of authority to be able to issue such a report. It's not a crime to say one is found and so therefore the place is like this. It's not been in Leoncio Prado. The publication said so, but it's a mistake. When they speak of that, those lands, they are not lands that are in the district of Leoncio Prado. Regarding contamination, we also have the local water authority. Nonetheless, you reported the possible contamination to the Human Rights Ombudsperson, the President of the Council of Ministers, and the Ministry of Energy and Mines in the letters that we saw. Is that not so? Of course. But note, I'm saying possible contamination. I'm not affirming anything. Possible contamination. You mentioned coordination with the police in relation to the marijuana question. Did you inform CPO Soya of Sayan about this? No, we were coordinating, but not directly that marijuana, no, because as I've already explained, when we went in January, we came in January, we presented a work plan, and the work plan includes carrying out operations. What does that refer to? What are we going to do? What kind of work are we going to do when the operations are carried out? Going out into the communities, where do we go and who do we talk with in each community? Who is the person who must receive us in each community? In this case, it's the lieutenant governors.
Quisiera que
let us now talk about having weapons in your jurisdiction, bearing arms, if you will. Did you know that the members of the Peruvian community had weapons? Of course, because the government itself gave them the weapons via the self-defense committees that were made up in each community, and the government itself provided the weapons. Later on, it was decided that these self-defense committees were going to disappear, were going to be canceled, and the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Armed Forces came up and they picked up the weapons. As a sub-prefect, you're in charge of coordinating things with the Rondas Campesinas. Yes, that's right. They're now called Rondas Campesinas. They're no longer self-defense committees. So as such, they can no longer bear arms. Your testimony is then that Paran does not have any weapons? It does not, because the weapons were picked up by the government.
Were the weapons shotguns or rifles?
Shotguns. Did you know, sir, that in 2018, during the Paran invasion of Invicta, the members of the community were misusing the weapons that they had. No. You did not know that the members of the Peruvian community had used their weapons during the takeover of the Invicta project on 19 June 2018 and shot against members of Laxanga? No. You did not know that Invicta brought police complaints against the Peruvian aggressors because of that situation? No. You did not know that after the takeover of October 2018, the members of the Rondas Campesinas of Paran were using their weapons to instill fear in the members of La Sanga so that they wouldn't come close to the area. The area would be the Invicta camp. No, I did not know that because, it's another district, right? Laxanga is another district. So if they're members of another district, they're not going to come and complain before me. And Laxanga is not part of the Leoncio Prado district. You have testified that the members of the Rondas Campesinas, these rural patrols in Paran, did not have weapons because the government, the armed forces, had already picked them up. How do you know that? Because when I came in, there were no longer self-defense committees. The regulations had changed. In our communities, what we had to do was to coordinate with the Rondas Campesinas, which could no longer have weapons. They were not authorized to have weapons. So when we had these rural patrols, and I went up to Lima, and I went to the military base, I asked that all of the weapons be picked up in connection with the self-defense committees, because those self-defense committees are no longer in existence. The regulations governing them are no longer in existence. They took their time to come out. And this did not only happen to Paran. There were other communities that had the weapons, and all of the weapons were picked up by them. Again, how do you have personal knowledge that all of the weapons have been picked up by members of the government? According to the report I prepared, they let me know, and I don't have the exact date, that they had come out and that they had picked up the weapons from the communities that had the weapons. Because they belong to the self-defense committees, and the self-defense committees are no longer in existence, and we only have now the rural patrols, the Rondas Campesinas. So they can no longer bear arms, and they have never had arms, and but that changed, and they came and picked up all the weapons in all the communities that had them. Okay, there were self-defense committees that were there were self-defense committees that were canceled and that were replaced by the rural patrols, the Rondas Campesinas. Yes, of course. The rural patrols are not authorized to bear arms. That's right. So you deduce from that and the rural patrols do not have weapons. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. Okay, thank you. Let us now move on, Mr. Bravo, excuse me, Mr. Retuerto. If we look at your witness statement, let's look at it. And we look at paragraph 3. You say here at the end that this statement is based on my personal knowledge of the fact that I have in connection with the matters that I have identified in the four appearing paragraphs, right? Yes. Here you're talking about the position of President of Santo Domingo and Subprefect of Leoncio Prado. These are two positions that I mentioned in paragraph 2, right? Yes. You were the President of Santo Domingo on January 1st, 2009 until 2012, 31 December 2012, correct? Yes. And you were sub-prefect from 17 March 2017 to 10 March 2022. Is that right? Yes. That is to say, you did not have any of these positions in 2013, 14, 15, 16 until March 2017, correct? Yes. During this period, you were another member of the Santo Domingo community. Is that correct? Yes, I was a community member, of course. Paragraph 28 of your statement here you say, at the end of the second sentence, with the arrival of Lupaka as the new owner of Invicta, the Paran community expected to reach a similar agreement to the one the company had reached with the communities of Laxanga and Santo Domingo. Do you see that? Yes. What agreement with Laxanga are you making reference to here? I'm talking about having the agreements. Yes, my question is, what agreement specifically are you making reference to? Because you talk here about reach a similar agreement to the one the company had reached with the communities of Laxanga and Santo Domingo. What agreement are you making reference to? The one that was signed on which date? Well, let's see. The agreements that we had, the agreements that were signed with Laxanga and Santo Domingo, well, those agreements were never signed with the community of Paran. You're saying once Lupaka came in, right? So I think once Lupaka arrived, I think you're talking about the Invicta project in 2012. So at that time, Paran had the expectation of reaching a similar agreement than that had been reached with Laxanga and Santo Domingo. Yes, that's right. We wanted coexistence. We wanted harmony, but that never came. We've spoken about the consequence of all this, the community was the one that suffered the environmental impacts the most, and the agreement never came. That was a concern for the company, and I cannot speak to that. But that is a concern that the company has to have. Why is it that they didn't want to talk to them? And that was the concern. The concern that they had. They never got to this with the community of Paran. In October...
Excuse me, Counsel. Mr. Mr. Witness, sorry. You are responding to questions immediately, and the result is some confusion in the translation. So what we're going to ask you to do, please, when a question is asked of you, could you wait for a second or two before you begin your answer? That will make the whole process much clearer. Would you be prepared to do that, sir?
Yes.
We would be grateful, and it would improve the process. So thank you.
Small point of order, because we are running under quite a tight schedule. We think there's about 25 minutes left of this cross-examination, and depending on how much redirect there may be, Bravo may be able to come back. He's available. He's not far. We just announce it, and it just depends on respondent how much redirect there is.
Well, we will try to make sure that he is indeed available. And fine, then let us proceed. Just looking at the timing, do we have a sense of how long the redirect might be, or can we tell at this point?
So far, based on what we've heard, we do not anticipate a long redirect. However, I will need to see if part of our team can also be recalled, because based on what Council has said, we have released our part of the team that was assisting.
All right, well, we'll drive on. We'll do the best we can. If we can get Mr. Bravo back for a few minutes, that's what we'll do. All right.
Señor Retuerto, en su conocimiento.
Sir, to your knowledge, as at October 2012, when Lupaka acquired Invicta, Invicta had signed an agreement with Laxanga, yes or no? Are you asking me? I am. Possibly they said that they did. I don't have personal knowledge of that, but that's the information that they had. That was the information. Who is they? Did you hear my question? Who is they? The Laxanga community members. The Laxanga community informed you that as of October 2012, they informed, but I don't know exactly. But you were informed of this. Laxanga informed of this. Paragraph 28 of your statement, let's continue on it. If you look below the yellow section, you say the Peruvian community perceived that far from trying to reach an agreement, the company was ignoring the community's concerns and needs. Do you see that? Yes. What period of time are you referring to here? Since Lupaka acquired the project at the end of 2012 onwards? I'm talking about the whole period of time for Lupaka. Here at 28, it says that that perception was confirmed when the company signed an agreement with Laksanga in July 2017. Do you see that? What is the question? I was asking whether you can see here where it says in your statement that that perception was confirmed, the perception from the community of Paran was confirmed when the company Invicta signed an agreement to build an access road to the project throughout the the territory of Laksanga. Yes, I see that. I understand that at 28, you were making reference to the perception that was communicated to you by the community of Paran. Right? No. The people from Laksanga informed that an access road was being built in Laksanga to get to the company. Here in this paragraph, you were talking about the perception of the community of Paran. You said that this community perceived that the company had ignored its concerns, and that perception was confirmed when the company signed an agreement with Laksanga. That's different. First, it says that the community had no agreements with the mining company. But then a clarification is made in the sense that the community of Laksanga gave land so that a road could be built. And the mining company never worked to reach an agreement with Paran. And that is a concern that they had, and that was clear in their minds. But like you said before, you were not aware that Invicta had made a detailed proposal for an agreement with Paran, that 300,000 soles had been paid to it, and that most of the community members had accepted the proposal of agreement put forth by Invicta, right? We have talked about this. I thought it was clear that the mining company has paid a debt, a prior debt. The community said, well, you're taking advantage of us. This dates back to many, many years. The community of Paran was providing the land for the road, and the mining company had to come up to date. This was a pressure exerted by the community. It had nothing to do with a recent agreement. Sir, you do not have direct knowledge of the actions taken by Invicta to establish relations with Paran and reach an agreement, yes or no? I do not know. That's why I'm saying that at that meeting that I had, the authorities and the community members told the mining company, you are taking advantage of us. You've taken advantage of us for a long, long time. I think on average 12, 13 years went by, and the mining company had that debt when the community gave up their land for the company to build the access road, and that debt dated to those years. And the community said, years and years are going by and you're never paying off your debt. And then the company said, okay, in 15 days we're going to pay you. And then I don't know when they paid, but they said that this was a long-standing debt. They paid under pressure exerted by the community. So your impression is that 300,000 soles were paid in exchange for access to the mine via the Paran access road. Yes, of course. That's your impression, right, sir? Yes, of course. Thank you. Sir, you did not participate in the discussions or negotiations that Invicta had with Paran, right? No, I never participated in that. As a follow-up to my previous question, what is your understanding based on that the 300,000 soles were in exchange for access to the mine via the Paran access road? Did you see any agreement in that regard? No, I am saying clearly that there is the president of the community of Paran, and community members of Paran mentioned this, and they said, you are owing us money. There was an agreement that was entered into for the construction of the road on the land, and no payment was made to date. And you were deceiving us, they were told. It is correct to say then that your opinion is based on what the Paran authorities told you. Of course. Thank you. Mr. Tuerto, I have one last thing I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to talk about the invasion of the Invicta project by Paran on 19 June 2018. You remember this invasion? Invasion? Yes. I think we've changed subjects. The community never invaded. What did the community do? The Paran community went up and held a protest. This is a letter signed by Mr. Castañeda, as I said, sent to Osin Hermin. That's not a letter. I don't see a letter there. Let's scroll down, please. It is dated 14 August 2018. It's a letter. And if we scroll up, there's no signature on the letter. Reference is made to Mr. Castañeda as a legal representative, and it bears the letterhead of Invicta. Did you know about this? It's sent to Osin Carmin. Were you aware of this? No, I wasn't aware of this. I wanted to see the letter, but I do not see a letter. There is no letter here. This letter dates back to August, so the Peruvian authorities and the police never contacted you, in spite of the fact that you were mentioned as one of the participants in the invasion of June 2018, right? Well, perhaps the authorities, the police, were aware of the fact that I never participated, I wasn't present, and that is why they did not send a letter to me. I have no knowledge of a letter. Generally, when an individual, and more so when we're talking about a public official, is accused of a crime, whatever that crime may be, the first step is for the authorities to ask that individual that's been accused if they participated in the crime or not. You were never contacted, right? Never. Okay, never. Now, in connection with the officials of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, nobody from the Ministry of Internal Affairs asked you whether it was true that you had participated in that protest, let's just call it. Yes or no? No, nothing. Nothing. Nothing at all. They never included me in any of that. When you have a document and the district sub-prefect, and it says that the district sub-prefect has done certain things, if the province prefect gains knowledge of this, then they sent a memo to us so that we can speak our truth. But I never received anything.
De modo que
So you were never investigated because of the complaint about your alleged participation in those events, correct? No, I was never investigated. In your statement, Mr. Retuerto, at paragraph 20, let's look at it. You explained, can you say it, Mr. Retuerto? Yes, what is the content? You explained at that paragraph that on the day of the invasion you tried to go up to the Invicta camp, but when you were 500 meters away, Paran community members prevented you from going up, correct? Yes. And you explained, and this is at the beginning of the next page, or maybe a little bit above that, you said that this was the case because by then the Paran community considered you someone that they did not like, persona non grata, because of your relationship with the Santo Domingo community. Yes. Question. Then you said by then, in the second or in the first line in English, when did the Paran community start considering you non grata? Well, I did not receive information in writing. I only heard because several community members told me that they consider me that way, but I was already a persona non grata. Here you say that you were considered persona non grata because of your previous position as president of the Santo Domingo community. So I understand that you have been considered a non grata, persona non grata since back those days when you were the president of Santo Domingo de Apache. Answer, no. You are saying, or I am saying here that I was considered persona non grata, I don't know, for 10, 15 days they would go to the camp and then they would consider me non grata because I had conversations with Paran, but they started to consider me persona non grata because of the agreement between the Santo Domingo community and the mining company, since I was chairing the community. I was the president of the community. Question, but that agreement with the Santo Domingo community and Invicta goes back to 2010. So have you been considered persona non grata since 2010? Answer. I am saying that this is not starting in 2010. I'm saying that this must have been 10 or 15 days before they went to the camp. Only then I started to be considered persona non grata. Did you report to the government authorities that Peran was considering you persona non grata? No, this is not something of interest to the government, because they need to know that this is not something personal. What argument am I going to use? I am being told that I wasn't told, so I need to put something in writing, but I only heard that. That was hearsay, so this was just a personal thing. So I am being clear here as a person, but I was not there as an authority to be considered persona non grata. Didn't you think that to be considered persona non grata by Peran could interfere with your role, such as to be a communication channel between Peran and the government, and therefore it was necessary to communicate this to the authorities? No. Didn't you consider, or didn't you think that being a persona non grata impaired your ability to to act in the Peran conflict, and therefore you had to report this to the authorities? No, it wasn't necessary. If Peran considers you persona non grata, it will be very difficult for you to comply with your role as a district prefect. Answer. No, it wasn't limiting, because my information was provided in writing and everything was documented. I continued to perform my duties. If we look at paragraph 19 of your statement, there you refer to the communication that you sent to the Ministry of Energy and Mines on the intention of Peran in June 28th. Do you see that? Yes. You're saying that Peran's president told you that community members would go up the mountain to go into the mining camp. Do you see that? Yes. When did Peran's president tell you about this decision? This must have been 3 to 4 days before. It was just something he told me. It was nothing in writing. So Peran's president told you this 3 to 4 days prior to the invasion, before the invasion, even though by then Peran was considering you persona non grata. Is that what you are saying? Yes, this was just an oral report. There was no written document telling me this. And based on that information, I was giving a document requesting to the Bureau of Energy and Mines, the same office in Huinhuacho, to request their intervention for a dialogue table so that the conflict would not get any worse. I thank you, Mr. Retuerto.
All right, that concludes the cross-examination. Are we ready to begin the redirect? Over to you, sir.
Yes, we are, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Mr. Roman Retuerto, I will be asking you some questions related to the questions that you heard from The other party is council, and I will be showing you some documents on the screen. I would like to start with document C-451. This is the document of March 13th, 2018, and you were asked about this early in the cross-examination. We'll just wait to have this on the screen so that you can recall what we're talking about. As you may confirm, you have it on the screen, right? Can you see the document? No, the document is not on the screen. Let's give it a minute. You don't have anything on the screen? There is no document. Here it says special report. Yes, thank you. I apologize. Yes, I was referring to that. A document is the text that I will be showing you, and that is to the right. There is a document that is titled Special Report, and once again, this is C451 of March 13th, 2018. You were asked several questions about this document, and my question, Mr. Retuerto, is whether you prepared this special report. And we can go through the pages to see if we help you remember this. Do you recall this document? Yes, that was the visit. That was the internship, yes. Did you prepare this document? Yes, I do recall it, but did you prepare this document? Did you write it? Are you the author of this document? No, I'm not. Do you know who prepared it? No, I don't know who prepared it. Do you recall when you saw this document for the first time? I don't recall because time went by. Very well. Let us now look at C408. You were also asked several questions about this document. This is the technical report by ANA, the Water Authority, dated July 13th, 2018. And this was prepared by the local Waura water manager, and it was sent to the Water Authority. And you mentioned this document, and attorney for the other party said that at paragraph 17, footnote 11, you referred to this document and you were asked to refer to some paragraphs of this document. You were shown 5.2 and 6.3. I would like to look at 6.1. And would you please read that paragraph? Would you please zoom in? We will zoom in. And you don't need to read it aloud, just read it to yourself so that this refreshes your recollection. And you will see that here it says that as recommendation of the National Water Authority, Invicta will be served notice so that they can remove the solid waste site of Invicta, because this is adjacent to a ravine, that is to say, to a source of water. And my question is, what does it mean when it's talking about removing the solid waste removal site? Yes, it means that beyond the access to the mine, there are some residue that comes from the excavation that they have done inside. And that is within a few meters from the ravine where the waters were inspected, and that is the Ruraicocha ravine. Could you please read the next paragraph and explain what you understand with 6.2 in connection with this pile of solid waste? Would you please clarify your question? Yes. Would you please explain this notice that was served to Invicta in connection with the solid waste removal site? What is the company being told, as you understand it? They're being told that, as seen in the material left outdoors, without any sort of protection during winter time that starts in January and up to April, that material will be washed off by the water, the rain, and that will go into the areas in Yanapaxa and in the Peran community. And I will say that in the Peran community, out of all of the ravines, the water is used for agricultural purposes and also for drinking purposes, because in Peran, the water sources are within their terrains. So they are in the same area, so we are going to say that it is the water that they drink. It is for human consumption and also agricultural uses. So the degradation of that material will end up being used by individuals, drunk by individuals. So that's the cause of concern. And I understand that they are recommending the removal of the solid waste from that area. Thank you. Let us look at the beginning of this document. Let us look at the date.
Ve la fecha, señor.
Do you see the date, Mr. Roman Retuerto? It says July 13th, 2018. Do you recall the interview that the attorney for the other party referred to, the interview you had with ECOS? Do you recall that? Yes. And do you recall the date of that interview? I don't think I recall the date, but I do recall that some time went by, but I do recall the interview. For the record, that is C527, the interview of December 2018, and I wanted to ask you a question now. One of the latest documents that attorney for the other party showed you is C130. You were asked a question about this document, and I would like to look at the end of this document. Do you see any signature in this document? No, I do not see any signature. And could we just zoom out so that we can look at the margins of the first and the second page? The only page, rather. Do you see any seal, any stamp? No, there is no seal or signature. There is not even any acknowledgement of receipt, nothing. In your experience as sub-prefect, is it normal for a document sent to a state agency not to carry any seals acknowledging receipt, for example? Of course. Whenever provides a document or delivers a document, it doesn't matter whether it is 1 page or 10 pages, and there is not even a signature. And someone that went there to deliver would say, but where is the acknowledgement of receipt? And even the person receiving it would have said, where is the signature? There is no signature. Question. This agency that supervises investment in energy and mining, OSINERGIM, are you familiar with it? Yes. In general terms, what is its role? It has an oversight function. Does this agency have as a role the reception of any, or the lodging of any complaints or claims? Does this agency receive, for example, complaints against public officials? Yes. And what is the context? What is the subject matter? One can do it, but it is a draft that has been presented. I don't see anything here. I don't see any formalities in this document, but beyond the stamp and the signature or the lack thereof, as to the jurisdiction of this agency, OSINERGIM, are they supposed to be receiving complaints about civil servants? Of course. Of course. And they do have the jurisdiction to accept those complaints or to refer them. And what is the subject matter? Well, they are referred based on the context of the complaint or the subject matter.
You have an objection here?
Yes, those were leading questions, Mr. President.
It is true that the questions are leading, and do they have the jurisdiction to accept those explanations, those complaints, or refer them? I mean, you're asking him a question that has within it the answer. So perhaps you could rephrase your question so that they do not suggest the answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am happy to withdraw the question if there's an objection. I was trying to speed things along, but I understand and I take the guidance from the tribunal, and I thank you.
Well, certainly if you could ask your question in the form of what is the role of this agency with respect to these complaints? Full stop.
Well, maybe the first question is, does he know what is the role of the agency?
Thank you, Mr. Griffith. I was precisely trying to get to that, but
let's drive on.
No, I'm happy, Mr. President, to leave it here again in the interest of time, and I have no further questions on redirect. Thank you.
No, nothing further on redirect. Let me ask, do my colleagues have any questions? No questions. All right, I have no questions. In that case, Mr. Retuerto, we are thankful to you for your testimony. You are now excused, and you may return home, and we, with our thanks for having been here and given us the benefit of your testimony. Thank you, sir.
Gracias también.
I thank you.
All right, we can turn the cameras off on Mr. Retuerto and bring in the other witness. Has Mr. Bravo been found?
Yes, sir. He's outside. I can go get him if you want.
Okay. This is comforting to know.
Is there a break? Can we have 5 minutes?
It's okay, 5 minutes.
Mr. President, I understand that the court reporters are asking for a break.
All right, let us take a short break, and will 5 minutes be sufficient? All right, let's return in 5, which will be a couple of minutes after 5 o'clock. All right, should we ask Mr. Bravo to resume his seat? Sir, if you'll join us. Now, as an administrative matter, I'm grateful we're able to get the benefit of Mr. Bravo's testimony for a little longer, but we do face, for reasons external to the proceeding here, we do face a sort of hard termination time today. We're not going to be able to stretch it out, so we will try to make the best use of the time we have. All right, any administrative issues we need to tend to? All right, back to the examination of the witness. Mr. Bravo, you know, of course, that you remain under your admonition to tell us the truth. All right.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just for planning purposes, is it correct that the hard stop will be 5:30 p.m.?
5:40.
I think today you've got till 5:40.
Excellent. I will try to be quite direct, Mr. Bravo. If necessary, then perhaps we'll need to take a step back and go more slowly and in more detail. But let's see if we can be, quite direct. And I think that the manner in which the earlier segment was conducted show that we can be very efficient. And I thank you, Mr. Bravo, for answering the questions in the direct manner in which you have. So I thank you for that. So let's return to the issue of the Invicta Mines permits. That's where we left off before we paused. You have previously stated that the only pending permitting issue at the Invicta mine was the MINEM inspection. Is that correct?
It's not actually a permit, but it's part of the process to get the permit. The permit is was called the COM, Mining Certificate Operation.
Thank you. And let's turn, please, to C226, which is at tab 9. That's your first volume, tab 9, please. Okay, I think that everyone has their binders. This, Mr. Bravo, is a report from DEER, and that's the agency that is responsible for approving environmental certification in the Peruvian mining sector. This document is dated 12th November 2018, and it addresses claimant's request to supplement its 2009 EIA, the Environmental Impact Assessment. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. Yes.
And if you go to paragraph 3.1 on page 50 of this document, I'll give you time to get there.
Yeah.
In page 50, in paragraph 3.1, it says, Invicta has not presented adequate and consistent technical information. Then it goes on to note that the nonconformity of the third ITS, and we will highlight that on screen. Paragraphs 3.1 under the section of conclusions. Do you see that? It's also highlighted on your screen if that will assist you.
Yep, correct, yeah.
And so therefore, as a result of this conclusion, Invicta needed to secure additional environmental certifications before proceeding to exploitation, correct?
No. This is what it says is we haven't present adequate and consistent technical information, not permitting. So, and this is an ITS, which is kind of a voluntary situation. It's not a permit request needed to operate a mine.
Let's look at paragraph 3.2. The last line says grants the non-conformity to the third ITS. Do you see that?
Sure.
Then based on this, the third ITS submitted by Invicta was not approved, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
Okay. Still on the issue of environmental permitting, could you please turn to paragraph 25 of your first witness statement? So in paragraph 25, about halfway down that paragraph, you state that in a meeting between Invicta and the Peruvian community on 29 January 2019, you explained, and this is the last sentence, explained in detail that there could not have been, nor had there been any damage, and that there was no risk of water pollution. Do you see that?
Yes.
But the OEFA, which we have established earlier, is the environmental agency, mentioned that there had been presence of toxic chemicals in the water surrounding the Invicta mine in a resolution that was issued in September 2018. Were you aware of that when you joined the company as general manager?
No, I can't recall that precise document from OEFA.
Of course, it's been a long time, so we will put up the document. And this is what I meant, that we can go fast, but if you don't recall something, then we will need to slow down. So let's put up document R74, which is behind tab 6 of your binder, still in the first volume.
Tab, excuse me?
Tab 6. And this is, for the record, R74. And you have the English behind the Spanish. In the English, you'll see, well, the stamps are not reproduced, but there is a placeholder for stamp. And the date is 27 September 2018. Can we please turn to paragraph 17 of this resolution? And you'll see there in this paragraph, which you also have on screen, that according to supervisory report by the Peruvian regulator or agency, the results obtained from the sampling carried out at control point MEF01, and this is all, of course, in the Invicta mine, are shown in this test report. And there's the summary, control point sampling. Do you see the table, Mr. Bravo?
Yes, yes.
And you see that there are a series of 3 chemicals that are identified, and then the sampling that was taken. And then on the right-hand column, there are the results of that sampling, and there is an indication of the percentage over which the permissible levels have been exceeded. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And it shows that 3,925.6% over the maximum permissible limit of total cadmium, 811.2% over the maximum permissible limit of copper, and 1,122.6% over the permissible limit of total zinc. And if we can go further down in this document to paragraph 46, it makes observations about the effect that some of these chemicals have in the environment. Do you see paragraph 46?
Yes.
And you see that it says that the excess of those permissible limits may cause the vegetation and fauna in contact with this flow to be affected by their high concentrations, and also initiated their presence in the traffic chain. Not a felicitous translation, but there it is.
Yeah, it's not precise, but
And paragraph 47 says cadmium is also one of the major toxic agents associated with environmental and industrial pollution, as it has the 4 characteristics, goes on to identify them, and adverse effects on man and the environment, and it travels long distances in the wind and in the water currents. And as part of this resolution, OEFA, having found these excess in toxicity levels, these chemicals, OEFA required that Invicta take corrective measures and submit the request for environmental certification of the Invicta's water management system. This is in page 18, same document. And in page, let me see. I don't see the page on screen. It's I'm sorry. It's page 18 of the problem with these documents is that sometimes they have different pagination, but at the end, at the bottom of your pages, you'll see the page, and it says page 18 of 19. There, it starts with a table. Do you see that?
yes, yes.
Okay. And can you read the column on the right-hand corner that's being highlighted on your screen?
Sure. Likewise, you must submit the registration of the admission of the assessment file of the treatment and/or recirculation system from the water from the pithead of level 3400, from where the MFF 01 effluent is generated.
Okay. And my
Yeah.
question based on this conclusion and recommendation is, did claimant submit that request for certification pursuant to this conclusion?
Not sure, to be absolutely honest. But the thing that I was trying to point out is that this is just a first stage resolution decision. Normally you appeal from these decisions if you are not aware. I'm not aware of the final decision, I haven't seen it, from the tribunal. So that's normally the procedure that carry on.
Do you know if this was appealed?
Yes, it was appealed, yeah.
Okay. Do you know what the final resolution may have been?
I can't recall, to be honest. I had, after it was, if it was resolved, it was resolved after we were not in position on the mine.
Do you recall ever having seen a resolution that says that you have complied with this recommendation?
No, but again, well, it was an appeal and it was part of the process.
Okay. So you never obtained that certification that is being recommended here?
I don't. We'll have to revise the Spanish version because that's not exactly what it says. What I understand from the Spanish version, you have to submit. It says the registration of the admission of the assessment file of the treatment. So you need to file. What you need to file in these cases is a way to solve the problem. Let's put it that way. Okay. In any of the authorized forms that according to regulation. So I haven't been able to check if we file it properly or if it was actually filed.
From your recollection, was the problem resolved? I will use the phrasing that you used in your previous answer.
Yes. I recall that we installed a water treatment plant to basically treat the water coming out of the mine in that specific level.
And we'll get to the water treatment plant that you installed. Was that water treatment plant certified?
What do you mean by certified?
Was it approved by the relevant agency?
It was part of the ITS, not the one that you mentioned, but it was part of the ITS that was going to be filed.
Of the 3 ITSs that have been discussed in this arbitration, when you say not part of this ITS, which ITS are you referring to?
Not. No, sorry, I can't recall precisely what was it.
Fair enough. Was the 3rd ITS approved?
As per what you just mentioned, no.
Okay, so the 3rd ITS was not approved. Let's go to C226, which is behind tab 9. And in particular, I would like you to turn to page 67 of 95. I'm sorry, 66 of 95. And in particular, row 16. It's very small print, I know. My eyesight is poor. Hopefully yours is better. And here, it is referring to one of the components of the mine, and it's item 9.1.2. It says description of the mine effluent water system, and it refers to an ITS. And then you see that there's an observation column, which is the observations survey, the 3rd column. And you'll see that towards the end of that box, it says both pools are located in the Bocamina level, 3,400 meters above sea level. And likewise, it specifies, and it carries over to the next page. In item 9322, that these ponds do not have environmental certification. However, it did not specify the location of these ponds in the UTM coordinates. Do you see that?
I see that, but could you refer what is this document? But I haven't been able to locate it in the bind.
Okay. Oh, you haven't located in the binder?
No, I thought it was number 9.
Tab 9. It's for the record C226. It is the evaluation of the 3rd ITS, which we had just been discussing a few minutes ago.
Okay.
It is from November 12th. 2018. And this is being November 12th, 2018. Of course, it is before your time. Perhaps let me take a step back and ask you, have you ever seen this document before? Had it been brought to your attention as general manager?
Nope, I haven't seen it before, to be honest.
Okay. I do not wish to then...
we got a consultant dealing with this.
Of course. And actually, now that you mentioned that, who was the consultant on these issues?
It was Gio... It's supposed to be here.
I'm not asking a specific document. I'm asking you, who was the consultant on permitting issues when you were general manager?
When we when I started the company, we were all focused in solving the blockade. All the things about the environmental permitting were kind of stopped, and we're just focusing on everything because it wasn't making any sense to move on with permitting if we didn't have access to the mine. So, in all fairness, I don't recall exactly. I never dealt with the environmental consultant. We're not really concerned about that situation at that time.
But we spoke earlier, and you recognize, and so has claimant in this arbitration, that when you took over as general manager, the company did not have all the necessary permits. You recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And when you joined as a general manager, you said that you were focused on solving the conflict with the Paran community, but then the permitting side was not being moved forward by the company?
Was indeed as far as we could, but most of these environmental permitting and all kind of permitting requires visit to the mine, visit consultants, taking water samples and all that kind of stuff. And that was impossible at that time. So we were not in a position to move forward in that direction. No?
Okay.
We're aware that we were expecting to have this inspection for the operating permit, and most of these documents, basically the ITS normally were appealed. We're not in agreement with some of the statements here, and the water treatment plant. Well, I was told it was installed, so that was part of the only big missing point for the operating certificate.
Right. And when you joined as general manager, someone gave you a briefing on what was the situation with the permitting. Is that fair?
Yes, and for sure, I asked for all the pending processes, including the PIS and all these permitting. We reviewed them, and they were all ongoing, and so there was not much for us to do there.
Okay, so let me go back to my original question. I asked you who was in charge of that permitting issue. You just said that someone gave you a briefing. Who gave you the briefing on permitting?
I guess it was Will Ansley at that time.
Will Ansley, the CEO.
Yeah.
Okay. He's the one who reported to you as general manager of what was the situation with permitting.
We discussed all those issues with him. Yeah.
And did the CEO give you a breakdown of the stage of the permitting process, including all the relevant permits that were pending and their stage at that moment, and what came next, what needed to be done with each of those permits?
The answer is yes, but those are two different things. One is the permitting that needed to operate and needed to comply with regulation, and the others are the sanctions, like the OEFA resolution you show me, and this ITS thing, which are modifications to previous components. So if we're talking about permitting, that's what we were focusing at that time. Our expectation was to have the inspection at site, and in order to get the authorization, the proper authorization to operate the mine. All these issues were at that point in time either appealed or being taken care.
Okay, let's take those two parts, because you said let's separate them, sanctioning and permitting. What's the situation with sanctioning or addressing the sanctions that had been brought to your attention by the regulators? Was that being moved forward?
Well, we filed the appeal, that's what I was told, and that takes time. I mean, there's not much you can do.
Okay. How much time does it take to resolve those appeals in your experience?
Sometimes 2, 3, 4 years, depending. Normally, the appeal committee or the tribunal at OEFA takes in between, and at an average, 6 to 18 months to resolve.
Okay, and your recollection is that there may have been an appeal, but it hadn't been resolved?
Can't confirm the appeal, but I'm pretty sure it was in the report. That's what I had in mind. There was no pending issues to resolve, but I can't recall if it was resolved or if it wasn't resolved while we were in charge.
It was not resolved while you were in charge. And that appeal that was not resolved, you said that could take years?
Yes.
Okay.
The question is, suppose the Paran situation had been solved, and yet you had this pending appeal. What was the company planning to do? Drop the appeal and do something else?
Well, you can solve the problem while appealing, if that's the case. If you consider that it's a fair observation at that point. So by appealing, you solve the problem, at least for a time. Do I understand? I'd like to understand this better, because it impacts the whole
timetable.
Well, the appeal doesn't solve the problem. The appeal gives you time to either you are not in agreement with the observation they gave you, or in some cases, for you to solve the problem.
Yeah, but you don't have time. As a company, you don't have time. Time is a luxury.
Yeah, but at that time, again, we were expecting, I mean, in order to operate, we need the mining certificate, the operational mining certificate. In order to get there, the only pending observation was the water treatment plant. So, and the water treatment plant was built, was there. So on the inspection, the inspector will see the water treatment plant, and will see it operating, and that will be the need for getting the permit and being able to operate.
But didn't the company have a plan B
For
for this? That do something else, drop the appeal and do something else.
Well-
I don't know if that is feasible or not. I'm just asking.
Well, but the real thing is that the observation was a water treatment plant, and we we did the water treatment plant, so it was in place. So in reality, there was no other observation there.
Sorry, I think there was some testimony before, if I recall correctly, that it may be by you yourself. It didn't make any sense to tear down these basins and build them again, but removing the other equipment was something simple. And
For the
that
wa-
can be removed and put back again. So
For the water treatment plant you mentioned? You're
yes,
saying? I mean, you can do that, but it's not what normally happens. I mean, you can expect a fine, but
oh, okay. That's what I understand. You could expect a fine, but then you can operate anyway.
that's the first time, yes.
Okay, can you elaborate on that a little, because that is important. That has to do with the timetable.
For sure. Again, when we got the first inspection, we got several observations. Can't recall the precise date, but it was before October 2018. So, and again, this is before my time, but this is what I recall. And so the company made all the efforts to solve all the observations that the ministry gave in their first inspection. And one of the very most important ones was the water treatment plant. So we built the water treatment plant, which basically is a couple of holes and some equipment to minimize to be able to treat the water, and we were ready for inspection. The alternative will be to amend all the original permitting, and that's why we filed the ITS. And the ITS, runs its own process to get approved. So that's what normally you do. And finally, if you are not able to include in the ITS on some other environmental assessment, then you probably get a fine and expect to get it done somehow. There's later in 2020, I guess, the government issued another regulation called the PADs, which were supposed to be in order to regularize some pending components. And it happens from time to time. Mining is a ongoing business, so you have to keep solving problems, and sometimes you can wait for the permitting. So that's why the government issues several regulations in order to try and solve those ongoing problems. No?
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a brief follow-up. I'm wrestling with, there's been some suggestion that one could not get environmental certification of an existing facility, that the environmental authorities would not certify something that was already functioning. In your experience, is that an accurate description of how things work?
Yes, it is. The EIA's environmental impact assessments are for new components. You cannot include in an EIA component that already exists. But that's what I'm trying to point out. There are several regulations that issue by the government in order to try and regularize components that has been built without any environmental assessment. So, and that's happens every day in mining. So yeah, the answer is yeah. You have to. Normally, you build small things. I won't say you're not going to build a new mine or a new portal, but small components like a small water treatment plant is something that needs to be solved. There is a principle in the Peruvian environmental law that says that you need to solve the problem, the environmental issue, with prior to, not prior, but I mean, in spite of the regulation or the permitting, no? It's not exactly what it says, but this is a principle in the environmental mining law.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's perhaps look at this in more detail. It seems that this is an area that does merit some clarification and perhaps for us to slow down. We've tried to be efficient, but since we seem to be focused on this, let's slow down a bit. Let's look, please, at MD 04, which is behind tab 7. And this goes to the question that Mr. President has raised. Behind tab 7 is MD 04, which is a Supreme Decree, Supreme Decree 40-214 EM, which is titled Regulations on Environmental Protection and Management for Exploitation, Processing, General Labor, Transport, and Mining Storage Activities. Are you at that document?
Yes.
Okay. Please turn to Article 17 of this regulation.
Can we have a page?
We'll give you a page, Mr. Griffith, in a second. Page 11 of 76. And I would like to start with the first paragraph. And do you see that first paragraph? Do you wish to read it out loud, Mr. Bravo?
Prior to commencement of mining activity, including the construction stage, the holder must have the corresponding environmental certification or an amendment thereto, as well as the license authorization and permits established by current legislation. Yeah.
Okay. So it says clearly that before you commence the mining activity, you must have the environmental certification or an amendment thereto, as well as the licenses, authorizations, and permits established by the legislation. Let's go now to the third paragraph of this provision, which deals with the consequences of not having this. And towards the end, you'll see that it says, the procedure shall be declared inadmissible. We will highlight that for in the tribunals. There it is. The procedure shall be declared inadmissible by OEFA and OSINERMIN and shall be informed for the purposes falling within their competence. Do you see that?
Yes.
So in other words, if a mining component, such as a water treatment system, is constructed, built without environmental approval, it will be declared inadmissible. Do you agree with that conclusion?
Well, here the EIA was approved.
I'm not asking about the EIA. I'm trying to first gain some clarity from you or your understanding of the provision that we've just seen. So if a mining component such as a water treatment system is built without environmental approval, it will be declared inadmissible, correct?
The component.
Okay. And the water treatment system is a component?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Let's turn back to R74. Once again, this is behind tab 6. And specifically, please turn to page 18. And I'm conscious of the fact that we are 3 minutes away from the hard stop, so we may not be able to finish this line of questioning. We'll see how we go. So you see, once again, page 18.
Yes.
Okay. And at the top of the page, that last row, paragraph 50, it outlines the corrective measures that OEFA required from Invicta after it had found these high levels of cadmium, copper, zinc in the water around the project. Do you recall that we discussed that?
Yes, but there are two different things. But this is not permitting. Again.
Mr. Berao, we can go around in circles. We're trying to get to an understanding about what were the applicable provisions, starting there, and then see what happened. Now, I recognize that these are documents that predate your role as general manager, and that's why I was asking you what you knew at the time. Now we can go in detail about these documents to try to establish the situation. I understand that from what you have testified, that your understanding was based on what the CEO of the company, Ansley, was telling you. And perhaps let me ask you that. Did you review any of these documents at the time that you became general manager?
No, not in detail.
Okay. Have you reviewed these documents since?
Since?
You said not in detail, you didn't review them. Since you became general manager, you left the company. Have you reviewed these documents, for instance, for the purposes of your declarations, your witness statements? You haven't?
Sorry, no.
Okay. I'm conscious of time, Mr. Chairman. Let me, if you give me 1 second, I'll see if we can stop here, because it is a line of questioning that may take some time to establish the facts, given that Mr. Bravo has not had an opportunity to review these documents. If you just bear with me.
Well, counsel is doing that. It seems, Mr. Bravo, that it would be necessary for you to be available to testify again tomorrow. I hope that is physically possible for you.
Yes, it is.
All right. This evening, you will not be confined to quarters, but you will need to avoid any discussion or conversation with any members of the team or any discussion of your testimony. Is that agreeable to you, sir?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Back to counsel.
Mr. Chairman, given that we are going to have the benefit of Mr. Bravo again tomorrow and that he will be sequestered, I am content to pause now and pick up again tomorrow.
Before we adjourn, are you able to estimate how long your remaining examination will take?
Subject to what Ms. Torres reports on the time available, I would say that we may have an hour and a half with Mr. Bravo tomorrow.
Okay. Let me ask the secretary if she can to tell us where we stand.
I'll report at once we finish and I stop the clocks and I'm able to do math, because my mother is the calculus professor. I'm not a good math, so I cannot do the math that quickly.
All right. Well, the secretary will provide us with her customary assessment overnight of where we stand. All right. Well, respondent anticipates another hour and a half. We will then have redirect for however long redirect takes. And I think it's not fair to ask them to assess that now, because we're sort of midstream. But the necessary implication is that the rest of tomorrow's witnesses are going to have to be bumped down the timeline. And so they all ought to be advised of that and make their plans accordingly. Any other administrative matters that we need to deal with? The tribunal is working away on the pending question of the expert's report. We will excuse me. We will strive to give you a ruling on that at some point in the morning, but hopefully at the beginning of the morning, but as early as we possibly can. All right, any other matters we need to tend to?
No, sir.
If not, we wish you all a pleasant evening, and Mr. Bravo, we wish you a pleasant solitary evening.
Thank you.